This week on Oklahoma Horizon, we continue our look at a very serious subject, schoolyard bullying.
A lot of it we tie back to domestic violence in the home, family life, and it bleeds over into the school system.
I conclude my conversation with Kirk Smalley, a man whose son killed himself after being bullied.
And we're changing the world. That's our goal.
We'll look at the connection between school bullying and school violence. And Courtney Dehoff takes part in a mock school shooting drill to see what some Oklahoma school administrators are doing to make our classrooms safer.
We're the ones that are out here on the front line that are seeing those things, and we need to respond appropriately to them to get people help that they need so they don't have to act out in these ways.
Lisa Hines shows us how online bullying can be just as hurtful and often longer lasting.
When this little girl was approached about what happened, we asked her why she did it, and she said she didn't want to be friends with my daughter anymore.
And one of our own tells us how bullying changed his life.
Now, you can never really look at an adult and see whether or not they've been bullied. I was bullied.
Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
When I sat down with Oklahoma's Kirk Smalley last week, I expected an emotional interview. But to be frank, I was just unprepared for just how moving his story is. His son, Ty Smalley, just 11 years old, was often bullied by classmates. But one day, he fights back and gets expelled from school. Now, Ty's mother takes him home, tells him to finish his schoolwork because he's going to be missing it while he's expelled. But when she returns from work, what she finds is her child dead with a bullet wound to the head. Ty killed himself rather than face his tormentors back at school. It's a tragic story, and one that's taken a positive turn by the actions of Ty's parents. They've dedicated their lives to stopping bullying. And I know what you're thinking, and at first I was too. How do you change human nature? Well, according to Kirk Smalley, it starts one person at a time. Tell me more about Stand for the Silent and how people can get involved.
When we go to schools, we leave information packs. We can email information packs around on how to start a chapter of Stand for the Silent. Very quickly, we're going to have a new website that we're working on up to where that's all downloadable. Communities, it doesn't have to be a school to start a chapter. It can be a community chapter. They need one adult, if it's a group of kids, to sponsor the group. It doesn't cost anything. Just one adult to oversee the kids in the group, because believe it or not, they will run wild with this, and sometimes they go a little bit too far. We've had schools that started crisis lines. The kids manning a crisis line for a kid in crisis, not a good idea. They're not trained professionals, and if a kid's talking about hurting themselves, they need counseling, they need help, which, by the way, I've got to take an opportunity to do this. We've worked with several outfits around the nation lately. We came up with one of the problems we have in America is we have over 200 helplines for kids in crisis to call. And some of them are even case specific. If you're LGBT, you have to call this number, not this one. And that's ridiculous. When you have a kid sitting there with the means to hurt themselves in their hands, and they have these thoughts and they're wanting to reach out for help, do not shuffle them around and tell them that they need to call this line instead of this one, because you're lucky that they called the first time. We went nationwide. We went live with it on the 30th of last month with a one-number helpline. It's 121-HELP. It's on our website. You can find that information. Kid calls that, they get immediate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, live counseling to trained professionals. And it's such a big resource that we got to get that out there. because we get these messages from these kids on Facebook, and we're not trained professionals. We're not counselors. We don't know how to make it stop, how to keep them from taking their own life. Love them to pieces, and we'll talk to them all night long if that is what it takes. Laura and I do that constantly, and beg them to call that helpline and get the trained professional help they need. So, I mean, that is a great resource that is now finally out there. It's a nationwide one-number helpline that no matter who you are, if you're thinking about that kind of thing and you're in crisis and you need someone to talk to, they can call it and not get shuffled around for hours.
And I'd have to commend you on your sincerity here, because once again, in our conversation before we came out to the studio, you were talking about being invited to the White House and being with pop stars and all very important events. But you value going to these schools more than any of these things where you may get some notoriety.
I won't cancel with the kids to do the media. I can talk to you, and I can reach 58 million homes on your show, and I understand that. But I can talk to 200 kids, and I can save one of them's life. And that's where my priority is, because I don't want another mom and daddy to live the nightmare Laura and I live every single day. We let kids play video games where they get points for killing people. Like that's a good thing. They watch cartoons where a little boy dies in every episode and he comes back tomorrow. What's that just taught these kids? Death isn't real, life's cheap. If I die tonight, I come back tomorrow. You don't come back tomorrow. Ty would be here the minute he died if he could. I know he would. It doesn't happen. It's for real. And we got to make it stop. You know, the media has caused a lot of it. I blame them too. We let these kids watch movies. They don't even have to have cable television now. They can watch things. Somebody get an arm ripped off, you know, on regular TV. Man, we gotta quit. We gotta start standing up against it. We gotta start communicating with our kids, Rob. You know, I get emails from people that told me, I saw your presentation, or my kid came home and told me about this, that heard you speak at your school. And I sat them down and I asked them, you know, right now our statistics in our world, in our nation, 1 out of 4 kids actually has a plan on how they will kill themselves before they graduate high school. 25% of our babies have a plan.
You showed me a folder on your phone of, it's called suicides. And it's messages you've gotten.
Yeah, from those 1 in 4 kids. They come up to me after a program and say, I have a plan. And I'll tell them, not anymore, you don't. You took a pledge to help me make this stop. And they say, yeah. Or they send me messages on Facebook or emails or text me or call me and say, I've had those thoughts. I get them all the time from kids. I was going to kill myself today, but now I won't. And that 1 in 4 figure, that 25% figure, is astounding. That's staggering. A school like Ty's, 1,300 kids in our community, 350 of them would have a plan? Yeah. And we got the power to stop that and change it.
And researching for this show, I was struck by a statistic that I saw that said that much of the school violence that we see can be tied back. And we're talking about young people that come in shooters, back to that person having been picked on. You know? So if you don't care about the child that's being bullied, you better care about your entire school, because
you know, you look at some of the instances that have happened in the past, and they're all tied, Columbine, directly to bullying. You know, you never know when this is going to affect you. You know, you don't have to be a bully. You don't have to be a victim. It affects the bystanders as well. You know, it happens all over our society. You know, The bully film has opened up dialogue nationwide, worldwide. We get messages, we get orders for t-shirts on our website from Norway, Finland, places we've never heard from or been yet that have seen this documentary. It's been screened there, and they want to get involved. You know, we have opened up a dialogue in our nation and around our world because of this, and it's creating a change. It's getting people involved. The movie is a spur, a call to action. The film itself does not give answers. It doesn't tell you how to stop bullying. It doesn't tell you, it's a documentary that tells you this is what's happening in our schools.
But that's what you want to do with your website and what you do with the presentations that you give.
We are having a call to action. Get involved. Take it serious. And if we all do that, and if we all just spend a minute or two when you're on Facebook, you know, each day, and keep that awareness out there. And that's what's key, is that awareness. And if we keep it going out there every single day, you know, these kids we go and talk to, they'll hand draw posters and plaster their school hallways. I wish I could show you some of the pictures of them that we get from them. You know, don't be a bully, stand for the silent, stop bullying, stomp out bullying, you name it. They've drawn posters and plastered their hallways. And you know what? If I'm going to bully you and I happen to look over your shoulder and I see "Don't be a bully" poster that some other kid has drawn, maybe that'll give me that split second's hesitation that's needed. Or at least maybe the victim sees that poster over the bully's shoulder and knows that there's somebody out there that cares and that there is hope. You know, that's how we change society. That's how we change the world. We don't go into a school wanting to change that hallway. We don't go into a school wanting to change that community or that or that county or that state or even our nation. We go in and ask them to help us start it there, build it, let that fire grow. We light that little spark and they fan it and they let it grow, and we're changing the world. That's our goal. We've presented to Bangalore, India. Like I said, we're going to Australia. We're going to light these little fires all over this place, and we're going to let these kids fan it.
Someone wants to go onto your Facebook page. They need to do it through your website. Give us your website address.
Yes, sir. You can log on to Stand for the Silent, www.standforthesilent.org or .com, either one. If you want to find us on Facebook, all these schools we go to, they start their own chapters, a lot of them do, and they build their own Facebook page. And they name it Stand for the Silent. So if you look for us on Facebook, there's going to be 150, 200 different Facebook pages. To find ours, link to it from our website. We've got over 20,000 members right now. There is a like page and there is a group to join, and I urge you to do both of them, because if you join the group, you can see what these kids are posting on there. They get on there and they thank us for coming to their school. They tell you, you know, I'm going to make a difference. Kids that are being bullied get on there, and kids from all over the world will talk to them and support them and say, you matter and we're going to help you stop this, and don't listen to the bully, you know, we got your back, those kind of things. It's really uplifting to see how these kids and adults help each other on that page. So link to it from our website. And join us.
All right, Kirk. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, there's not only a strong link between bullying and suicide, but bullying and homicide. According to law enforcement, over 2/3 of school shootings can be tied back to the shooter having been picked on. It's a tragic response, and one that schools still have to prepare for, which is why Indian Capital Technology Center held a mock drill on their Tahlequah campus, and our Courtney Dehoff was there to witness it.
Since the infamous attack on Columbine High School shook the nation many years ago, school shootings have been on the rise, and now steps are being taken to prepare for the unexpected.
It's a gut-wrenching scene.
Show me your hands. Get up, come out, one at a time.
and any student's worst nightmare.
Come on. Somebody take control of him.
When a typical day at school turns into a fight for their life as a gunman opens fire on campus.
Right inside the door.
I kept hearing the terms, not if it happens, but when it happens.
It was December 6, 1999, when Ronnie Hullaby's life changed forever.
So it was my birthday. I was probably thinking more of getting off that afternoon, going home and having birthday cake. You got to expect the unexpected. And unfortunately, we had one that day.
One of Hullaby's former students came to school in the small rural town of Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, and began shooting.
Fired one, and I saw him, and I didn't know if it was a blank or not, and he just started going boom, 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 boom.
Police said the boy had celebrated his 14th birthday over the weekend and had shown no previous signs of trouble before 8 o'clock Monday morning.
And after it was all said and done, 5 middle school students lay wounded. But it could have been worse if not for the quick thinking of Hullaby.
Look out there, these kids are running and screaming and running in. You look out, you see somebody that's not running and catches your attention. And so then that's when I got to looking and saw that he had the gun over to his side. He was trying to hide it from him. I had him in class, and so I might have been a fool, but I opened the door and went to conversing with him.
Hullaby was finally able to get the student to put the gun down, a tragedy he relives to help teach school officials to expect the unexpected. Robin Roberts is Indian Capital's campus director.
We wanted to do something that was a little different, that added a little bit of emotion into the situation where we could experience that aspect of it. We had a longer lockdown this time than what we normally have. We were locked down for over an hour.
But training like this is not just for the students.
If you don't train, you can't be prepared.
Police officers, SWAT teams, the bomb squad, and other emergency management teams descended on the campus, learning to work together when the unthinkable happens.
We'll have officers in here answering questions.
Officer Gary Dotson.
Part of the problem, you're going to hear this in any exercise, is communication. We had a communication breakdown. We let them go ahead and play out the role with the communication breakdown so they can see what happened. In real life, we try to correct it during the actual event.
An event that is becoming all too common.
We hate to say it, but the way the world is going, threats are out there every day, and the person you least expect could be. A lot of it we tie back to domestic violence in the home, family life, and it bleeds over into the school systems.
Gary Davis of the Oklahoma Office of Homeland Security agrees the entire culture has changed.
It's not only been in schools, it's also been in workplaces and places that they felt they were secure, and so it's an awareness program that everyone needs to have. If they see something that doesn't look right, they report it to someone. A person's not acting like they normally do, to get those clues and try to prevent it. And then if it does happen, that we have the skills and the abilities and the plans in place to take care of the problem quickly and swiftly.
These guys here both.
But amongst the chaos today, the most important role may belong to the teachers.
Command Post 110, we believe we have an explosive device. Need the bomb squad on scene. We will be evacuating all hostages.
And it starts long before an emergency is ever declared.
Before today's event, our primary role is for us to know our people, be familiar with our students, and most of the time the data shows that students make comments to people before they get to this point. It's a cry for help, and that's what we're all about, is helping people. It's always a tune into those conversations and those comments, and let's dive a little deeper, and occasionally we may even want to refer somebody on to professional help to where they can get something that we might not be able to provide. But we're the ones that are out here on the front line that are seeing those things, and we need to respond appropriately to them to get people help that they need so they don't have to act out in these ways.
Shining light on an issue that those involved in the drill hope they never have to face.
According to the Secret Service report, more than 30 major school shooting events that have taken place since 1974 have been remarkably similar. In almost all cases, the attackers were male, had planned the attack in advance, and targeted fellow students and teachers.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, an adult's reflection on being bullied.
I moved from one school to another. Always had to make new friends. and never picked on the
First,
team.
high-tech bullies.
Well, with social media a part of most young people's lives, cyberbullying is quickly becoming just another way for bullies to attack their victims. And it can be just as harmful in cyberspace as it is in person. Joining me now is our Lisa Hines.
That's right, Rob. Cyberbullying is when a child is harassed, threatened, humiliated, or otherwise targeted by another child using the internet, digital media, or even a cell phone. It has to have a minor on each side, and the methods are only limited by the imagination of the child and access to technology. And as one Oklahoma mother and daughter found out, it's not always done by a child's enemy.
Deidre Baker and her daughter are experiencing something they never expected: cyberbullying.
Her best friend was hacked into her Facebook account because my daughter had logged into her Facebook account on her friend's laptop. So she was able to log into her Facebook, and she changed the email address and the password so that we could not access it. And then she gave the email address and the password out to some other people for them to go in and post on the comments and post pictures. And they posted pornographic material and said some very pornographic things about my daughter on her Facebook page. They post them as comments.
A terrible thing to happen. And her reason?
When this little girl was approached about what happened, we asked her why she did it, and she said she didn't want to be friends with my daughter anymore.
Deidre and her daughter learned an important lesson, one she wants to share. Be careful with your username and password. And
once it's on the internet, it's out there. Anybody can see it. Everybody can see it. And it's just like when you say something. Once you say something, it's already been said. You can't take it back. So once those things are posted on Facebook, they can't be taken back. It doesn't matter if they were deleted. You don't know how many people had already seen them.
a hard lesson to learn for a young teen and her former best friend.
Now, cyberbullying may get so bad that a misdemeanor charge of cyber harassment is filed, or if the child is young enough, it may result in the charge of juvenile delinquency. Most of the time, it doesn't go that far, even though some parents would like for it to.
So is there anything that our schools can do?
Well, the schools really don't like getting involved because if the cyberbullying didn't happen on campus, they really can't punish them because they could be brought up on charges of violating the child's free speech. But the schools can mediate between the parents and students to try and help solve the problem.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for bringing that to us.
Oklahoma Horizon is now portable. Just subscribe to our weekly podcast. Visit iTunes.com, where you can download our show for your listening or viewing convenience.
Well, as adults, it's often easy to dismiss the pains of childhood. And while they may grow fainter as we age, they seldom ever go away. With more, here's our Will Roberts with our weekly telegram.
Well, this week I'm going to tackle a very serious subject. I know what you're thinking, but Will, you're a humorist. Folks, every once in a while, even a funny person has to show that they have a serious bone in their body, and not just a funny bone. The subject, bullying. Now, you can never really look at an adult and see whether or not they've been bullied. I was bullied. See, when I was a kid, I moved 15 times before I was 12 years old. And when I'd tell folks this, they'd always say the same thing. Oh, military folks, huh? And I'd say, nope, that checks. Funny, but true. But see, this caused me to be bullied. I moved from one school to another, always had to make new friends, and never picked on the team first, always last, and sometimes not at all. Now, I can tell you there's a lot of times that I took the long way to class to avoid being made fun of, or worse. Now, the only thing I can tell you that came good out of the bullying is, well, I became really good at talking myself out of a fight, and I became very physically fit from all the running. But after a while, I became the first person picked on the team because I was so fast. It also helped me understand people from the moment I met them. But what I figured out was that, well, bullies were more scared and alone than I was. Now, I'm convinced that the person that said, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me," was the person that was doing the name calling, because it does hurt, and bullying needs to stop. So here's my plan. Start dragging the parents into the principal's office with the kid, the bully, and make them write on the blackboard 10,000 times, "I will stop being a bully, and I will start treating people the way I want to be treated." You might be surprised that this helps work out some of their family problems as well. I'm Will Roberts, and this is your Weekly Telegram.
As students head back to school this fall, a growing number of Oklahoma youth are staying home. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we examine the growing trend of homeschooling.
Real homeschooling looks nothing like public school. I mean, it looks just, there's no comparison because they're two different paradigms.
Parents schooling their children on Oklahoma Show Over the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, we are out of time. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next week.
Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.